We're learning more haunting details about the shootings of two Democratic Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses on Saturday. Officials revealing the suspect went to four lawmakers' homes with the intent to kill. Joining us now, Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Betty McCollum. Congresswoman, I'm so grateful to have you on the show. I know you had a personal relationship with Melissa Hortman, and my condolences to you, our condolences to you on the loss of your friend and colleague. I wanted to start with just your reflections on who she was as a person. And she obviously was targeted because, in part, or at least we think in part, because of the work that she was doing. Can you talk a little bit about what that work meant to her and why that makes this just all the more chilling?
Thank you. And I also want to express my best wishes towards John and Yvette as they continue in their recovery. But to talk about Melissa is very special. I met Melissa when she was first running for office in 1998. I was in the Minnesota House at the time when we were recruiting candidates and just door knocking with her. She wanted, great places for kids to live. She wanted to make sure seniors retired with dignity, protect our environment. She just shared Minnesota values. I think that are at the heart of what she wanted to work on: a better community, a better state. And she was a consensus builder. She had great ideas, but she was always open to listen to other people's ideas. She was a member's member, but always put her constituents first. And that's why it's not surprising after she lost her first election, she just rolled up her sleeves and ran again. And then eventually I was delighted when she became Speaker of the Minnesota House.
Congresswoman, this, of course, is a situation where we're learning, this man had a target list, 45 people long. Some members of the body in which you serve are learning that they may have been connected to it. I'd be interested to know if you found out that you may be connected to it, but even absent that, how this feels as someone who is trying to serve the public.
It's the amount of violence in our rhetoric today, from the president to people I serve with in Congress to people at the local level, just feeling that they can, say the most vulgar, hateful things. And if they say it loud enough, then they've won a debate. We as elected officials, Democrats, Republicans, independents, school boards, city council members, people on planning commissions, President of the United States, we have to take this rhetoric and say it has no responsibility to be used in a democracy. Democracy is about the freedom to exchange ideas without fear. And right now, acts like what happened in Minnesota this weekend instill fear in even citizens feeling that it can come to town halls and express their views and their view and not feel threatened, intimidated, or even possibly at risk.
Were you on the list,
I'm not commenting on the list. There isn't a list per se from what I've gleaned from law enforcement. They're still combing through a lot of things. And I know some members have disclosed whether they're on lists or not on lists. But once you say if you're on a list, some people start asking you about other people. And so I'm going to respect law enforcement continuing their investigation at this point.
Okay, fair enough. One of the things that's possible here in this case would be a federal death penalty. We were talking about a little earlier in the show with our Laura Coates. Is this a situation where you think the death penalty might be appropriate?
Well, in Minnesota, we do not have the death penalty, and I'm on record of supporting Minnesota state law. If prosecuted federal, and that is something that the jury would be considering, I would leave it up to the jury to make that decision.
All right, fair enough. As we go forward here, what do you hope to see from President Trump in particular as this continues to be investigated and, God forbid, if there are, future politically related or motivated violence?
I'd like to see some leadership and civility. And that might be challenging for the president, given the way he doesn't seem to be able to lead the campaign style of his speaking where it belongs at the campaign. And even then, I thought that some of that was too extreme and too violent. But right now we need the President of the United States, a political person who put their life on the line by showing up to work and voting and representing their constituents, was assassinated. And so was her husband. And 2 other people. We're so grateful that they're okay. And the other 2 houses that were targeted by this extreme person. You know, we need leadership on this, and it would have been wonderful. He didn't have to praise Governor Walz, but he didn't have to basically insult him either when he talked about the incident that happened here. Governor Walz has a 85%, you know, plus, I think, approval rating here in Minnesota, very popular. And at this time, Minnesota was pleased to have Governor Walz out there making sure that we knew that law enforcement was doing everything that they could and trying to calm a terrible, tragic, heinous situation here. So that showed lack of respect for the state of Minnesota, for the President of the United States at a time like this to insult our governor.
All right, Congresswoman Betty McCollum, I'm very grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.